Stuart Robson's still with us. Has he got a point, Stevie?
Honestly, I'm sick of listening to nonsense like that. Is there some reason that as soon as you get to the hairy heights at the top of the Premier League that you start moaning about kick-offs and fixtures and physiological recovery and nonsense? I mean, I said it not that long ago. You know what? You should be delighted that you're in all competitions, that you're fighting for the Premier League title and you're still in Europe and you're doing all these good things. That's what you want. You want plenty of fixtures and you want to be shoved. And if you don't want that, go and manage somebody else. Go and manage Wolves or somebody like that who just play Saturday to Saturday. I mean, it gets so annoying listening to the nonsense, complaining about having to kick off early. I mean, seriously, is that all you got to worry about? Absolutely, it does my brains in.
I mean,
honestly.
He's referenced the champ. He's had lots of plaudits this year, and rightly so. He referenced the Champions League, and that is a rule in the Champions League. But the midweek game against Man City, the rearranged fixture, was a Premier League fixture. Now, is it ideal? Would you rather play on Monday? Yeah. But I would rather him come out in the press conference. Bearing in mind they're in a mini slump, right? I would rather him come out and when whatever journalist mentioned because somebody's mentioned this to him, Saturday lunchtime, is that a problem? I would have wished he'd just gone, didn't even think about it. The players are just ready to go back out and play. Bash it off. Don't bring it up. Don't give these players who'll read some headlines tomorrow or whenever it is and say, the manager's been talking about we shouldn't be playing in the morning. And don't even give anybody that out. Just say, no, we're ready to go. Saturday lunchtime it is, we're ready. Why do you have to give people the almost ready-made excuse? And I don't expect them to lose at Villa. I fully expect them to get back on the bike again. It's not going to be easy, but I think they should be able to do it. But if they don't, this is going to pipe up again. And you're just giving people an excuse and a reason. And it's not really, is it? Come on, let's be honest.
Robbo, did you pay attention to these factors when you were a player, particularly the times of kick-off?
Certainly not, because in our day, Stevie's day, not so much Craig's day, most of the games were played at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. And on bank holiday Mondays and sometimes on a Saturday, you'd play at 12:30. On Boxing Day, you'd play 12:30. New Year's Day, we'd play 12:30. Usually it was Arsenal-Tottenham games. And I quite enjoyed them in the morning. You paid no attention to when the game was. We used to play replays on a Monday, and then you had to play the same team again on a Thursday, and then you play on a Saturday because that's what you did at that time in the FA Cup. You play replay after replay. At the moment, Arteta is showing all the signs of being under pressure. Yes, he was right about the Brentford goal, but he kept on and kept on about that. He's now going on about this. He's making excuse after excuse. If there's one person that could lose Arsenal the title, and he's done brilliantly up to this point, it could be him and his attitude and what he's saying in the press. Because as it happened with Arsene Wenger years ago, the other teams start to say, this manager doesn't like it. This manager's not coping with the pressure. Arsenal don't like it up, and let's make sure we cause them problems. He's got to get his head back on and be calm and be positive about everything that's going on at the moment.
I mean, it's not the fixture list. Well, some might say it is. But it's not really the fixture list that is making Martin Odegaard lose a bit of form, Martinelli lose a bit of form. Maybe it's the fact he's playing them as much as he is. And he might say, well, I have to. But it's not really that. It's the fact that Ivan Toney and Boomer gave them real problems in the Brentford game. Erling Haaland gave them some physical problems in that Manchester City game. They made mental errors at the back, trying to play out. Tomiyasu, who I was surprised Tomiyasu played. I mean, he hasn't played really this season in the league. Ben White's been playing. So he brings him in. He makes an error and decision-making error. That's nothing to do with your players being tired. Those are just basic mistakes within a game. And Man City were clinical. Heard you guys talk about it yesterday. 37% possession or something. It's unknown for Man City, really, these days in a game like this. And so, yeah, I would have preferred had he just batted that straight out the ballpark. Anything to do with the early kick-off and said, no. The players know we're in a little dip, but Saturday we are ready for Villa. That sends out a better message.
He has to be very careful because the reason Arsenal are where they are The vast majority of it's down to him. And that's because every single word that comes out of his mouth, they've trusted and they've believed and they've followed him. Every single word that comes out of his mouth. So if he's coming out and saying things like, not enough rest, we could be tired, we don't have a big enough squad, they'll listen to all that.
But will he use it as a motivating factor for them, like he has with other issues?
No.
So you're saying it gives the players an excuse?
No. The motivating factor is you keep your trap shut and you don't mention it. And if you hear anybody else in the building talking about it, you get on them quick. You don't mention it whatsoever. There's no possible way you can twist not having enough rest into a motivational factor. What he's got to do is remind them why they were top of the league. Why were we top of the league? We were top of the league because we did this, and this. And all the other stuff becomes immaterial. Whether the bus leaves an hour after it usually does, or any sort of nonsense, that makes no difference. It's all the things that got you to where you are that count. And if you want to introduce all the other nonsense, then it will only be to your detriment.
They've got a good run of games. I mean, Villa is not an easy game. Leicester have picked up, for sure. Everton, new manager. Bournemouth should be okay. Anyway, I'm not going to go down them all, but
it's not the worst run of games.
It's not the worst run of games, and they've came through a period where it's been difficult and they've fallen off a little bit. But trust me, going back to this, I don't want to keep harping on about it. I'm sure within the coaches' room, with Mikel Arteta and all his coaches, I'm sure they were whinging and moaning about this. Clearly they have been. But trust me, I would be absolutely shocked if there's one player in that dressing room at Arsenal's training ground has even mentioned the kick-off time. Because I don't ever, like Robbo was saying, I don't ever remember any of my teammates at any club ever bring up whether we were playing on a Saturday or whether we were playing on a Sunday and what time it was. I mean, you would know what day it was, not even what time it was. You know, it just doesn't happen. When I went to Celtic, we were split Saturday and Sundays because of TV. Maybe one week we played Saturday, Rangers played Sunday, and then vice versa because one of the big clubs was always on the telly. But until your manager or your told you what day the game was that week, you didn't even bat an eyelid about it.
We started playing on a Friday night. We loved it because we got a Saturday and a Sunday out. Positive thinking.
Talking of positive thinking, though, when you do look at that run of games, Robbo, on paper, this should be the perfect way for them to respond from this mini slump.
Yeah, and Aston Villa's going to be a difficult one. That's going to be the important game because remember, Unai Emery is the manager of Aston Villa. And when he was manager of Villarreal in Europa League, he got the better of Arteta on 2 occasions, and he got it tactically right. So this is going to be a very big game for Arteta, as the boys have just been saying there. He's got to say all the positive things. He's got to get his team playing as they were before, with the high intensity, brilliant with the ball, in and around the box, as clever as any team in the league have been, and the closing down. He's got to get that right again. And if they do that, and they are positive, Arsenal can win the game at Aston Villa, and then you can see them going and winning the next 4 or 5 and being back at the top again. So he's got to get everything right and be positive coming into this Aston Villa game.
Do you know the one thing I would be saying if I was, amongst all the tactical stuff, and don't forget Villa got battered at City recently, I think it was. But if I was looking at Arsenal, depends on Partey's situation as well. I mean, he was a big miss. But I go back to the 2 games they've had at the Emirates with the 2 big strikers, Tony and Haaland. If I was looking at that, I'd be making sure I had Ollie Watkins, if he's fit and available, giving Saliba and Gabriel a tough time, because those 2 have had a pretty, I'm not going to say an easy ride of it, as Arsenal have dominated games, but they've had a silky season with the ball and all, but now they're starting to get roughed up a little bit. Now they're starting to see some physicality against them. And if Villa can do that, that would be one of the big questions they could ask of this Arsenal back 4, which has been pretty good for most of the season. Last 2 or 3 games, not so much.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.